Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jake Rainis. I'm here to demo my new Pointed Scroll Procreate brush set. This is a pointed pen calligraphy brush set, and maybe you're thinking, well, oh no, I already have tried 500 million of these brushes, or there are already so many in the market. Why another one? Well, and even with that, the calligraphy brushes that come with Procreate already exist, and they're free. And they're great. I actually really like the brush pen and the script pens. I use these a fair amount. And likewise, I've tried dozens of other brush sets that are geared towards just basic calligraphy, whether it be something more traditional like copperplate or something more modern like brush script. I've had successes and failures with them. I have found many great aspects of them, but I wanted to create one all-encompassing pointed pen calligraphy brush set, and that's what I've done here. And so just to jump in and show you, this brush set comes with 18 different brushes. 17 of them are actually like meant for writing, and then there's also this grid guide. And if you are a calligraphy artist, you know just how important it is to have consistent work. That's one of the key aspects of calligraphy. So this brush is meant to allow you to do that. And it's not meant to be part of your work. It's meant to be a layer underneath the guide that you can use. And so this is built at 45 degrees at the diagonal, which is a very, very common angle to work at. And there's also spacers for the baselines where you'd have your X heights or your descenders or your ascenders. You don't have to adhere to this brush or adhere to these guides. In fact, I don't most of the time. I actually find the most important aspect is this angle as opposed to these baselines, these baseline horizontals. So anyway, you can work with it as much as you'd like, but I like to just kind of lay down this guide and have something to work on so that when I do end up, doing work, it's always going to be at the same angle when I get rid of my guide. So this is the traditional solid brush, and as you could guess, it is a solid brush. All of these brushes are pressure sensitive, so if you were to draw really light, you're going to get a thin line, and if you draw really hard, you're going to get a nice thick line. And one thing worth mentioning is I actually had a number of calligraphy artists who are very seasoned calligraphy artists demo these brushes, and I got a lot of great feedback that I've incorporated into this. And one thing that almost every single one of them mentioned is the brush's response. And some said, well, I really like how, and this is how I have it set right now because this is how I like to work, I really like how when I draw these brushes, it is very, very precise and contoured, and you can actually see as I'm drawing, it actually takes a second for Procreate to catch up. And that's because of this streamline setting. It corrects your work, it normalizes your line, and creates perfect bevels. Some artists actually preferred they just wanted a much more granular control over their pen so they could have their own precision. And you'll notice that it doesn't quite behave the same way. There's no right or wrong way. I prefer to work with it all the way up. Some artists prefer to have somewhere in the middle. Some artists prefer not to have it at all. I've included instructions in the guides that come with this brush set, how you can adjust this, but just so you know, you go to stroke and you turn the streamline up and down. So going into another brush here, this is actually my favorite one. This is a dry brush, emulated brush set. So if you look and you can actually see there's some grainy texture there, and this is actually, if you were working with a bristle brush, this is how it would behave. What I like to do with this one, if you'll notice, if I start really light, it's thin, and if I press down really hard and give it some pressure, I get a nice squared edge. So as a result, what that allows you to do is create these nice modern style brush textures. And this reminds me, if you're using like a Karataki synthetic brush pen, or even a worn out Crayola marker, you get these nice squared edges to give it a modern look. But you also don't have to work modern. You can work with a traditional copperplate style, uppercase and lowercase, and you could even work in a more Spencerian look. So anyways, very versatile brushes. There's a grunge one here, has a nice weathered texture. There is one that emulates chalk. So if you actually had like a brick of chalk, drawing on a chalkboard, gives you that look. I have this textile one here, and this is meant to just be kind of like a fun texture where it's if you're working on a hard rock surface or fabric, perhaps you get these different variances depending on your pressure and how how you're drawing your line. Another fun aspect of this brush set is these split brushes. So there's double, triple, quad, and quint split brushes. And just as it sounds, these are going to give you a nice flared scroll. So that's with 2 lines. Each of these also come in a dry brush as well as a grunge texture. So you can create different textures. So that's the double grunge. Here's the quad, and you get 4 lines here, and it goes all the way up to 5 as well. Oops. So that gives me 5 lines. And so just to kind of like show you how that would write, let's write the word calligraphy. And you can see as I'm doing this is kind of like why I like turning that streamline setting up. It really corrects my precision. I don't have the steadiest hand. Obviously there are many calligraphy artists out there that are way better than I am, that have that kind of control. But I guess the nice thing about it is that you can set it to however you like, regardless of your skill level. So anyways, you get the idea. Very, very fun brush set to work with. Hopefully it takes care of all your calligraphy needs. It's available on my website, jakerainis.com, as well as Creative Market, and it will also be in the Design Cuts website. For those European folks out there, our Design Cuts is very similar to Creative Market. So anyways, widely available. I'd love to see your work, so feel free to share it with me. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a good one.